Hey, it's Dom. I lost the replay from my match with Chris. So I'm gonna use the cockatrice replay instead. And this is game one. Wasn't super confident in this matchup going in. He has a lot of haste creatures. Domri is very good against me, but I have a pretty strong end game, so I figured if I could not die, I should be in okay shape. And oh, I'm on top. That's interesting. So, sorry, let me. I'm mulligan to 5. It's hard to see. My first two hands only had one land, so it was kind of a bummer. Oh, it shows me Chris's hand too. Oh, I need to make it play slower. Sorry. It's a little better. Alright, so basically, this isn't going very well. I don't use this replay very often. I kept 2-lander and didn't hit my land on turn 3, and I needed pretty hard to cast this compulsive research. Chris played, I was on the play, but he had a turn 2 play and then a morph, and now after I missed my third land basically twice because I draw the Roto Signet on turn 4. So he's already attacking me for 4, and then he plays the Solifuge, which makes it 8 plus 1 more from Heir of the Wild. So I'm at 18, and then I'm going to go to 9. And on my turn, kind of brick. I'm just going to actually make a mistake here. If I want to cast Kolaghan's Command, I want to kill the Heir of the Wilds on my turn, because this Ferocious trigger is a problem. Because he also had Skarg the Rage Pits, so I could be like, deal 2 damage, and then in response he could pump his creature. So I just used the Grixis Charm, but I was dead anyway, I didn't have anything. So that's pretty much the end of game 1. We'll see if we can not screw up game 2 quite as bad with all the speed. Alright, so I'm going to hit play. So this is as fast or slow as it goes. And then this game, Chris is going to mold a 5. So it looks like, yeah, his first hand only had 1 mana. And then mine was fine. I had 5 lands, kind of a lot, but I had a couple of good cards in the matchup. A couple of 2-for-1s. And so Chris goes to 5, only has 1 land again. So these first 2 games were pretty unexciting. This is a pretty mediocre 5. He's got 2 4-drops. I'm pretty good as long as he doesn't curve out, because I've got, or I just flood super hard. And I'm going to lead with the land that's always tap, and next turn I'll play the land that cost me the least life, which is Watergrave. Turn and Burn's a good draw because I could cast a turn 2. Or at least it's an early or a late play. I could have played the Bloodstained Mire there. Might have actually been smarter if I wanted to burn something. Turn 3 I draw the Dimir Signet, and I decide to go ahead and cast it, even though doing so takes down my ability to cast Burn, because I really would like to have Prophetic Bolt up on my next turn in case he plays a creature with more than 2 toughness. And then here he gets Signal of the Clans for cheap creatures, which tells me he has some more expensive stuff in his hand. I think I figured out how to use the bar here. And then we just randomly chose Zertod Druid. I was pretty glad I wasn't playing Wake Phoenix. That card's annoying. I don't have a really good ways to get rid of it. So he draws Signet here, which actually lets him play out his whole hand. or not his whole hand, but to double ramp basically. So now I know not to just snap kill this. Since he's got more mana anyway. But on my turn I draw the Rakdos' return, and I know I can just get his hand at this point, so it's pretty easy to win from here. And he's got basically all mana sources, and I have a bunch of gas in my hand. So he draws a land here. At this point, I'm aware that he's got 6 mana, and Rurik Thar is a card I'm pretty concerned about, although I could get it with turn and burn. So I decide to Kolagon's Command at the end of his draw step to kill the Zertod Druid and kill a card he draws. Happens to be another land. But I think it was a reasonable play here. And at this point, really, I just need a win condition. I've got removal for days, and there's a Wrecking Ball. So it's interesting. Obviously, I don't know what he had on his hand prior to watching this, so I knew he cast Thornling later. So he actually drew it here, but he doesn't want to cast it without mana to protect it, which is very wise. I have multiple ways to deal with it. The ability to make it indestructible is pretty good in this matchup. So I think on my turn I draw Jace. And so this is good. Now I can go find some action. So here he splits Exclude in a pile by itself with Mountain Icefall Regent, which leads me to think that he might have a high-cost creature in his hand. But I decided to take the Icefall Regent anyway because I know I have so many answers to creatures in my hand already, and I just want a way to win the game. And at this point, I've boarded out Ugin, so at 7 mana I can cast everything. He actually draws Clan Defiance. He's going to go ahead and use it to kill Jace, maybe. And I think that happens later. So he passes to me. I sped it out too fast. I just drew a land plus the Jace, so now he uses the Clan Defiance. I have a bunch of removal but no counter spells. I actually did draw the Rurik Thar, that's interesting. So I let Jace die. And at this point I decide I should just probably go ahead and start ending the game. So I cast the Icefall Regent and play the land. Okay, so now he draws land number 6, and I believe he casts Thornling with 1 mana up. So at this point I know I could bounce it, but I don't really need to. I might as well see if he'll sink some mana into it. And then Master of Cruelties is good. It's a nice alternate win condition. But I decide just to start getting in with the Icefall. He draws a Tarka. I think he just passes. I draw an island, attack with Icefall. And I think he just goes Burning Tree. Go. I'm on this point where I can just Cyclonic Rift everything and probably get him with the Master of Cruelties. But I decide with all these instants that I'm just not going to act until I have to. Like, I'm going to make him put some pressure on me or try to kill the Icefall Regent. So I just like keep getting in there. I also know that one more attack, and then I can just burn him for the last two. Okay, so he actually, yeah, he does play the Phoenix in his second main phase. So I decided at this point to bounce everything since he doesn't have too much mana left. And what I did here was I decided, all right, I'm going to hit him down to 1. But then I figured I might as well see if I could win without showing him sideboard cards. So I just went ahead and played Compulsive Research and said, I'll plan to attack with Icefall Regent, and if anything goes wrong, I'll play the Burn spell. But I just didn't need to, because he draws a land, and that's the end of the game. Alright, so game 3 was actually involved Magic, which was good. Lulz 7 against 5. Kind of awkward. I actually boarded out the Exclude and boarded in the Stratus Dancer, knowing I was on the draw and thinking, well, this creature has 2 power, it may block something for me. So it was kind of funny how it played out here. I kept a hand with no red mana, but I had the Compulsive Research. I knew I could see a ton of cards. Also had no red cards in hand at the time. So the beginning of the game here plays out pretty much as I expected to. He plays a creature. I play the Stratus Dancer just to trade. Now we cast Domri, which is a pretty problematic card for me, because it gives him card advantage and just a really strong threat. Fortunately for me, he misses. It's gonna happen again. And at this point, I can play Compulsive Research, and I drew red for my turn. Now I just need some gas. The Wrecking Ball doesn't kill Domri. So at this point, I'm thinking, all right, well, I can use Ralzeric's Lightning Bolt ability if he doesn't play a creature next turn, which seems unlikely, but it turns out he's kind of land flooded. And then, or sorry, land light. Domri misses again. So it's pretty hard for Domri to not hit a creature or a land, but hit a Ground Assault on the previous turn. So I got away pretty easy there. And now I'm going to cast Ral. I actually misclicked on the land, but thankfully he didn't make a big deal about it. I caught it. As basically, we were video calling, so I think it wasn't really in question what I wanted to do. And thankfully, Chris was a good sport and did not make a big deal about it. So I play a Ral, I bolt Domri, and then I cross my fingers. And he draws a forest here. which is pretty big because it lets him cast a creature, but it doesn't let him cast his haste creature. And really, so I think he played Rumbling Slum here. And Domri missed again. Like, I think it was very lucky. Is because Domri never hit anything, I had so much card advantage once this exchange was all over. So I used Ral to deal 3 to Domri, so kind of suicided. And at this point, I could kill the Rumbling Slum, but I decided to pass because I didn't think I was willing to take 5, but I figured if he played a creature pre-combat, I might be able to get maximum value from far and away. And he ends up drawing another one of his few non-land, non-creatures. But this ended up working perfectly for me because he played Surek, he gave him haste. And then I'm able to bounce a Rumbling Slum and make him sacrifice Surek. And then from here, I'm just way ahead. Now I've got an empty board and going into the late game, and I hit my 6th land, which was big because I had Silumgar and Aetherling. So I played the Master of Cruelties, you know, thinking that I might have if he just replays the Surek, I can shoot it with a Wrecking Ball and then put him to 1 and burn him with a Kolaghan's Command, but he had the Ground Assault. But I drew my 7th land here, so I was able just to play Aetherling on an empty board, which is usually quite strong. This card's particularly difficult for a red-green deck to get rid of, because it's all mostly damage-based removal. So he recast the Rumbling Slum. Thought about stealing it. But I decided just to kill it with the Wrecking Ball, get in for some damage. And I think I pumped it twice just to be super safe. I actually was able to play the hasty Giant Solifuge. But it's just really hard to race Aetherling. So I pumped it 3 times. Kept that mana to cast Kolaghan's Command or Grixis Charm and blink twice, which was probably excessive. And again, being stuck on so few lands made it pretty tough for Chris to do anything. And that was the game. So that was our match. Really wasn't the highest game quality. We didn't really have a game where both of us had very strong draws, but I was able to win, and we'll see if it continues as the rounds go on in this Roto.